It was a dark, miserable night. One might say it was a horrible evening to be out in a dingy carriage bungling down a somewhat coarse downhill road towards the regional village. It was just such a fate that Mr. Argyle Northrop was enduring that overall very bad night, and his mental illness was rather incensed by visions of dark things in the woods and spectres both illusory, imminent at the edge of his senses, and those of memory and of internal regret of the psyche. Yet on his horse-drawn carriage hastened towards the small, sometimes called unfortunate village of Vingendrod. He had business there with a local guy, a kind of guy who liked to fish a lot and knew of the secret powers of certain stones and the moonlight. He had decided he would learn how to learn skywalking, the popular art of people who might be overly gloomy and wish to do something more enjoyable with their lives. And so Argyle made his way in his small, generally not comfortable carriage towards the home of Bosgrow the Considerate, who often wondered of things like walking into the air so that one could walk over hills without necessarily going the difficult way, or to get around town very quickly. It was, in general, of interest to people who were a little depressed or concerned about the political climate. Anyways, Argyle goes into the home, and it is a very dingy, dark, gloomy sort of home, and Bosgrow, Argyle realizes, keeps several bats as pets, which he finds quite frightening. The sound of concerned townsfolk mutter and make strange undulations and dark suggestions from behind the heavy shut door of Bosgrow the Considerate's gloomy abode, and Argyle listens intently as the large, sullen man instructs Argyle on the way of skywalking, which, as before mentioned, was a popular activity for unhappy folk of that region who might want to get off the ground for a bit, which was often very wet and dirty. In their discussions, Argyle realized that he had been duped, and that Bosgrow was a murderer. I am only an amateur in philosophy and the mystic arts, but mostly what I enjoy is killing people, because I am evil. Bosgrow declared this with complete contempt. The voices of the villagers outside the walls of Bosgrow's house had gone quiet. "That's horrible," Argyle complained. He took a torch on the wall and threw it at Bosgrow, who was surprisingly extremely dry. He basically caught fire immediately. Bosgrow went, "Ah, I'm on fire, I'm burning, ah," and the ghosts of his murdered victims rose around him, crying and wailing, which was very frightening overall, and Argyle was pretty sure he saw an evil demon, or a demon ghost sort of apparition, laughing within the flames of Bosgrow's demise. Needless to say, Argyle lost his interest in trying to walk into the sky, as people who are very sick of the mucky ground might become, and he was thankful for his crappy little carriage and the horse that pulled it, and he left that frightful village whose muddy streets had emptied of strangely moaning villagers, and never again did Argyle Northrop go to that village, except for years later due to an issue with a tax rebate from the governor's office.